Hi, this is Mark Pritchard from CloudBees, and I'd like to give you a quick getting started tour on how to use CloudBees to build and deploy applications into the cloud using the CloudBees platform as a service, and I'm going to do this using the Eclipse IDE. This first recording is really just about getting yourself set up and getting started. If you're already familiar with the Eclipse environment and you have everything set up, then you can skip on to the next one. But let's just start at the beginning and have a quick look at where we're going to be working. So here's CloudBees Grand Central, and this is your starting point for accessing all the key CloudBees PaaS services. So we have the Forge repositories here, Git and Subversion. I'm going to be working with cloud-hosted Git repositories. And then we have the Jenkins continuous integration dashboard, which you can access here. And then we have the PaaS console itself here for the run services in the cloud. And I have tabs here for the individual areas. So for example, here is the Forge repository page where we'll be creating and managing Git repositories in the cloud. Here is the Jenkins dashboard where we're going to be managing continuous integration, and here is the PaaS console where we're going to be working with an application and databases that we deploy into the cloud. So let's just drop back to this one, which we'll need first, and let's have a look at the Eclipse environment. Before I do that, let me just show you very briefly that on my system I've installed a number of packages. Obviously I've installed Git, I've got Subversion there, I've got Maven, all the usual things, Java, the things that you would expect. I've also installed the CloudBees SDK. Just go to cloudbees.com, you can download that, just unzip it, and it will automatically perform the installation. And you just want to make sure that you see all these things here. So you can see the output there, and it'll list out the SDK commands and the various subcommands and so on that are installed by the plugins that are set up when you do that download. So let's just pop that away. And if I go back to my Eclipse environment now, let's just have a look at the plugins that you need to get installed here. And you can see I've got a number of views up here which are going to depend on those plugins. So all of these things that I'm showing you can get from the Eclipse Marketplace. That's probably the easiest point. In the blogs that go with this, obviously I'll give you links to all the places to go and the update sites and so on you need to get the plugins. So the key things you want to do to follow this tutorial, you will want to get the SCM plugins. So for Subversion, you can either choose, well, Subclips is a good choice, so either Subversive or Subclips. I'm using Subclips, and that'll bring in the appropriate Subversion plugins as well. And then you'll want to get eGit, the Eclipse eGit. There are quite a lot of other plugins that go with that. Frankly, you only need to take the basic one, so just get the core Eclipse eGit, and that will bring in these other ones, JGit and Project Set support as well. I've chosen a standard, the standard packaging. I think this is an Indigo build. I've also done it with Juno, and obviously I've pulled in all the Java EE development features which I want as well, and you may have other things depending on what other projects you use. And then you'll want to get the M2E, the Sonatype Maven integration for Eclipse. We'll be using Maven throughout, and this is nice to have. Once you've done that, you can then go and install the CloudBees Eclipse Toolkit, and you can also pick up the Forge integration. This is our cloud repository integration for Git and Subversion. There are two choices here. You can either pick, the Subclips or the Subversive. It's one or the other, and it matches whichever you prefer to go with for the base plugin. But make sure you install the the subclip or subversive and the egit before you do this, or you won't be able to install the Forge integration. Then I actually added in the Data Tools Platform Enablement Extender SDK. This is because I want to use the sort of the data source explorer over here, and so that's nice to have as well. So I did these fairly recently. They're pretty latest versions, but you can just pick up the updates as you go through. So that's what I have installed in terms of my Eclipse versions. Several things you want to do on the setup. Let's have a look at those now. So start at the top, general. Obviously you're going to need to make sure you have your keys set up. This is for connecting to the CloudBees Git repositories, and also obviously GitHub. Later on we'll be pulling down a sample project I have on GitHub. This is all documented in the blog. Again, the standard place is to have your keys set up within your .ssh in your home directory, and you can just run ssh keygen. For example, ssh keygen -trsa will give you your ID RSA, and you'll have your keys in there. And what you have to do is just make sure, you can see here I have these set up to connect to git at cloudbees.com and github.com. And then if you go actually into, for example, CloudBees Grand Central, and you just log on, create yourself an account. You just go to cloudbees.com, create an account. It's incredibly easy. You just activate it, and there's a little check. You give a phone number, and a machine phones you back to assure you're a human. We don't do anything with that number, and then you're up and running, and you can use the cloud services all for free. There's no credit cards or anything required for anything that we're doing here. So once you have that account, you can go in here, and you just have to make sure you add an SSH key, and you copy in the public key that was generated by the SSH keygen utility, and that you'll be able to get that from your .ssh directory on your in your home directory. So that's just once you need just set that up. That's a sort of Unix level thing to set up. For example, if we go in here, I've done this already, obviously. But if I then go to my SSH directory here, and then you'd see here the various public key, for example, is generated and is in that ID RSA.pub. That's a thing that you would open, and you just cut and paste that in here. And when you go to the CloudBees site, you just go to SSH keys. You would add a new key. You can put whatever you want. I call mine personal. And then you just cut and you paste the public key in there, and you add it, and that will enable you to be automatically authenticated to the CloudBees site whenever you push things up into the repository and so on. So that's very important. So just took a few minutes on that. That's the key thing you need here, I think, under the General tab. Couple of other things now with the CloudBees tab. Here, this is where you're going to take the email that you use when creating your CloudBees account. So I use my Gmail account here. It's MQ Pritchard, that's a Q. You'll need that when you're going to the GitHub repository. And what you want to do is to set that up, validate the account, make sure that works. And all of these are set up. We want to use all these services, so that's great. We'll keep that. For data management, we'll ignore those for now. I'll explain those later on. But you can see immediately the CloudBees plugin is kicking in and wants to enable me to sync up with the various repositories we have there. I have a number of different accounts, so I could pull all these projects down, but I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so I don't want to do any more there. For data management, so I'm going to be working with both a local Derby and also a cloud-hosted MySQL database. I'm going to need the drivers. Again, this is mostly so that I can use the Data Source Explorer here within Eclipse. So you might want to set up the driver definitions here. So what I can do first of all is go in and let me pull down the Derby client JDBC driver. Now that's fine. What I'm going to then have to do, because I need to add it to the jar list, that's the file I'm looking for, but of course I need to give it the actual path where this lives for me. So you can just download this from the web and go and get the latest version from the Derby site. That's where my Derby client jar lives, so I can add that there. And then if I want to add another one, for example, I can go down to MySQL. I'm going to want that later on. So again, go to the jar list, pick that one up. It gives you the name of what it's looking for. And now I can come down in here and I'll pick up again that I downloaded from the MySQL site. There's the jar I want. I can add that. And now I've got my data definitions, the driver definitions set up. So another thing that I will want to do is I'm going to want my Maven set up. So I'm going to go to installations here. You're probably not going to be using the embedded Maven. That's not likely to be the latest. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where I actually picked up Maven myself, and I'm going to use this external Maven installation. And if I do that, then my various user settings and all are going to be fine. I'm going to use the default .m2 directory and so on. So I can apply all those. That's pretty much all I have to do. Once I have that in place, then I'm set up. I can use the Maven repository viewer, for example. There I can connect to the global Maven repository, and we'll see the local repositories and so on. We can also use the data source explorer, and I'm going to be able to create connections and so forth. So that's the basic setup. I've got the CloudBees plugin installed here, and you'll see therefore that there are a lot of nice things about this. So I can create a new CloudBees project, which we'll do in the next part of the recording. That would take me to the account configuration, and it's a quick shortcut if you want to create this CloudBees view, which I have down here in my perspective. One last thing that you might want to do that I forgot is that you could actually have this set as a default view. So if you come to perspectives here, you could, for example, I like to make CloudBees my default for these demos, and then you can, that's all standard Eclipse stuff, and you can set up how you want that to behave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording now, and I'll do another one where we'll go in and we'll create a new CloudBees project, a Maven project. We'll create that directly using the plugin, and I'll show you how that integrates with the development, the repository, the continuous integration, and the cloud deployment services on CloudBees.